To have an intro. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Big Footy Tigercast. As we just talk crap before. As I'm hitting live, we just go for it. We just start talking random stuff. Who cares? We're talking about getting another intro made up. So I think we might hopefully have one in the works. That'd be kind of cool to have a bit of a countdown and some music and some animation and stuff like that. I'm just not smart enough to make it. But welcome to everybody. Thank you for all tuning in from wherever you are. Gentlemen, how are we tonight, Grok?
Yeah, going well. Worked from home today, so I'm nice and relaxed, and
very good.
Happy to talk about anything other than that second half, but we'll get to that.
What second half? What are you talking about?
I know nothing.
That's right. EJ, how are you, mate? More green shoots this week, or is that a certain?
No, that's the Brossavelli. That's the
Brossavelli. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm trying to drink to forget.
There was a few people who were at the game and then I think wandered straight over.
Look into the pen. Bang! There goes the second half.
Yeah. Old Men in Black style. I like it. The neuralizer. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, but if we do get intro music, we'll all shut up, and the intros will actually start sounding a little bit more professional as well.
I like the unprofessional vibes that we give off. Yes, new background. So Mrs. Michaels did flip the desk around while I was at work the other day, which was really cool. Just I didn't like having all the cords and shit in the background, but the program we use doesn't let me crop the image in. But then I kind of went the early crow and put the LED strip lights up before we had the shelving up, and now it's got zero impact on the wall whatsoever. And I think because it's a lot closer to the camera and the wall, I've got to try and work out a way to fix that. But anyway, that is not why we're here tonight to talk about my LED strip issues. But no, I'm glad it was noticed. We've got the 3 grand final balls there. They are pride in place. But before we get stuck into the Richmond game, what did I have up here first? The VFL Academy, or the VFL played the Academy under-18s on the weekend. Stupidly, and I know it was probably no one's fault, but at the same time, it overlapped with the main game. So Grok and I are doing a live. I'm trying to watch both games. I'm missing shit from all kinds of areas. But the crux of it was the scoreline was completely irrelevant, as those games are. But it was really an audition of sorts for a lot of these young kids, because we're going to be right in the mix for having a high-end pick to take one of these kids potentially. But from a VFL perspective, Smiley, 14 disposals, I think it was, played the first half only. It read like that once he got to about 6 kilometres, that was kind of the end. He got subbed off. So he's played now 2 halves. He looked clean, though. I don't know how many other people got to watch parts of that game just because of the clashing of times, or if you went back and rewatched it. But he is ginormous out there, right? He's an absolute man-child. And again, very clean with his hands to get the handballs out. Kicking was not too bad either. But like I said, I probably missed a lot of it because we were watching the main game, of course. But good to see he got through. So there's, I suppose, a topic to discuss on him later. And Noah Bolter got through the game as well. Look, he probably did what he had to do, given he was playing against 18-year-olds who haven't played a game yet, I suppose. Campbell Gray did okay. I think it was really good to hear from Jake Batchelor saying that it was also a chance to get other VFL listed players playing who may not get a chance throughout the rest of the year. So I thought that was really good. But, good to hear that Smiley went well, gents.
Yeah, it was a bit of a clusterfuck with the whole timing of the game. Like, in hindsight, we probably should have just turned the AFL game off and focused on the VFL, given that we knew what happened. But yeah, I'm glad that Smiley got through it. By all accounts, I didn't really watch it. I had the AFL game up, but I remember from what you were saying and a few other players who were a few other chatters who tuned into the live call were saying that he was playing really well. So, yeah, I've got a feeling that he's really close now. If he's only playing a half of football, I reckon when he does play, he'll probably debut. I reckon probably Anzac Eve against Melbourne. Probably won't, not this week at Marvel, no point. Blood him at the G, and he'll probably play 3/4, I reckon.
I agree. I've got a video coming out tomorrow exactly about that. I reckon it's all being set up. All roads are leading to Anzac Eve, EJ. Get him on the big stage. It's one of the big factors. You play for Richmond, you get to play in front of big crowds when we're going well, obviously. But why not have the chance to put him out in front of 80 or 90,000? Although Melbourne are going shit as well, so it might turn into 40. Who knows? But the idea is right. But yeah, I think that's where it's leading at the moment.
Yeah, and unlike Melbourne, who debuted Jack Watts on the big stage out of pure desperation, we'll be debuting a kid that is ready, and we're not throwing him to the Wolves. So,
yes.
Yeah, it would be quite ironic if he did debut against Melbourne, that being the case.
Now, on this one, no Elgar and no Sims. I think it was a good thing. I think it gives these first-year kids a chance to have a week off without impacting the home and away record of the VFL side. So not the worst thing. But from what Jake Batchelor said, I think a lot of it was about getting a lot of other VFL kids a chance to play who won't get a game throughout the year. So that was kind of the reason why those other kids didn't play in terms of Sims or Elgar. So not the worst thing to have a week off in that sense. Hoops and Football, which I think is Shannon from memory. If you can send me that link, that'd be amazing, because I had someone on Big Footy tag me to tell me to make a highlights package of Josh Smiley, because I've got tons of spare time, apparently. So I don't have time to do that, but if someone's already done it, that'd be great, because I think everyone's going to be keen to see how Josh Smiley went in that game, which would be good. Smiley this week, no, maybe. I mean, I don't think he's played enough quarters, I reckon. I reckon he'll do a 3-quarter game this week and then get him amongst it. RFC sent a good call. Fawcett did look good as well. I think he kicked 3 goals, the big tap. So, yeah, definitely doing some nice things. Before we get on to the next part, make sure you like and subscribe from wherever you're watching, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Share the live out so we get more Richmond people involved. It's all about you guys. But the next one is turning into a favourite segment of my week, and it should be one of yours too. It's the North Melbourne Death Ride chart. We've had another win, folks. By another win, North Melbourne have had another loss. So they've had 3 losses in a row. It was looking a bit dicey there for a little while. They clawed their way back against Gold Coast later in that game. Then the Suns blew them out of the water. Total losses 4. They are currently 15th on the ladder, and we currently have their pick number 4 as well as our own pick number 3. So we're going back-to-back picks at the moment. So we have cracked the top 5 with the North Melbourne pick, which is very, very good to see, gents.
Yeah, I'm in a game of Survivor. And it's a really interesting and unique one. Once you've picked a team, you can't pick that team again, and you can't pick against a team more than once. And so I tipped Gold Coast against North Melbourne, and about early in the 3rd quarter, I had my little Ralph Wiggum thing there going, I'm in trouble.
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
But the positive news on this front too, though, is LDU signing the long-term deal, so they don't get the priority pick either.
Yes, yes, exactly right. Which we speculated would be their saving grace if that was to eventuate and they would get a high compo pick. Then it kind of offset itself a little bit. I think they've got the Blues this week, and I mean, the Blues aren't shooting the lights out exactly. I know they beat West Coast by whatever it was. I think that's a genuine 50-50 game, but yeah, hopefully Carlton can not do like barracking for Carlton, but if we're going to pick a moment in time to do it, it's probably this week.
I think the Blues have the ability to click to some degree. You know, they're definitely better than what they've displayed so far. So yeah, let's just hope that it all comes together for them this week.
Yes.
But if you're North Melbourne, though, you're licking your lips at Carlton right now.
Oh yeah,
like you're putting this down as like we're a real chance here.
Still good question. What do we all think? How high do we think North Melbourne could finish? Like worst case for us, best case for them. I think they're still good enough to win games throughout the year, of course. I reckon they can probably win 6 to 7 games. Maybe it just depends on the confidence of the players, and it depends on Big Jerry as well. If he's carrying an injury, they will be in a world of hurt.
I think you can lock them in for at least another 2 wins. I reckon they'll probably knock us off, and I reckon they'll knock West Coast off.
Do you reckon we'll beat them in the return leg?
Possibly. North always seems to get up against us. I don't know what it is. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. See, now, in our ideal world, we need to beat North twice, lose to West Coast twice, so North go below us, and we get a better pick just from them, just for the lols. But we'll have to, we'll have to see how we go on that front. The other thing I want to talk about very quickly before we talk about the Freo game, it's about another youngster. So on the weekend, young Archie Daffy, who's the son of Nick Daffy, obviously was a Richmond superstar in the 90s. He made his Geelong Falcons under-18s debut on the weekend against the Murray Bushrangers. So he is technically an underage player, so he's not eligible for draft until 2026. So that's a very good effort, number one, to get onto an under-18 list. And he obviously got a game on the weekend. So I think he had 11 disposals. He kicked a goal. He's very, very quick. So he's playing as a small forward, which sort of rings true to what his old man was kind of like for a lot of his career. The goal he kicked was a nice little roving front and centre goal. Had some nice marks. Missed the target a couple of times with some kicks, but he's a young kid. He would have been nervous as all hell on debut for the Falcons, but very good to see him getting some games. And I'll try and put together some footage of it, but here's another one to keep an eye out for the 2026 national draft. Tanner Armstrong was very good in that game too, and I know the stats haven't loaded, which is annoying. But yeah, he was starting to play a bit more midfield time as well, actually. So yeah, I'm not sure what his plans are for the rest of the time, but yeah, he was very good too, Tanner Armstrong. So we're getting some players coming through. Yeah, Nick, he is. I've actually been messaging Nick as in Daffy as well, so he's very keen to come on with Archie and have a chat. We're just trying to work out what times and dates best suit to come on and get them both on for a chat about young Archie, which is good. So yeah, we'll
so
get
2026 is shaping up nicely. Daffy, Lees,
and Armstrong.
Yeah,
I think Tanner Armstrong's is an NGA for them as well, assuming we don't get somehow stitched up by missing out on NGAs anymore.
Is Cody Walker this year or next year as well?
I think he's this year. Oh no, he might. You're right. It might be next year.
If that's the case, we'll be licking our lips at all these, NGA and father sons.
If we can land, that would be huge if we could somehow get Walker in as well. I don't like our chances on that one, but you never know. You never know your luck. All right, we'll get on to the Richmond Freo game. Fremantle knocked us off. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a tale of two halves. Richmond 7-5-47 to Fremantle 16-12, 108. Goal kickers for us, Morris Rioli with 2, Tyler Sonsie 1, McIntosh 1, Tom Lynch 1, Steely Green 1, which is also nominated for Goal of the Year. So make sure you get around the voting on that. Very, very good goal from Steely. And Jacob Blight with 1 as well, marking from the top of the goal square. As I said, gents, a tale of two halves, really. The first half, we were right in the contest. Good pressure. I think at one stage, we saw our pressure was at about the 205, 206 mark, and Freo's was under 160 or under 180, so we were well on top there. We had good pressure. Our skills and execution of game plan seemed really sound in the first half. So we were 2 points down at quarter time, 10 points down at half time, and you get to that point and you think, shit, we're doing all right here. We're in amongst the fight. And then the second half, unfortunately, unfolded and we kicked 1 goal in 2 quarters of football.
I thought you could see halfway through the second quarter that it was going to fall apart.
They did come back at us pretty hard in that last half of the second quarter, didn't they?
And look, I'm happy to call a mulligan. I think hot day. Some of the kids really struggled. They busted their balls, giving it everything. And when it fell away, it fell away. The numbers don't look great, but look, again, there's still plenty of highlights that I can take out of the game, so on we go.
And Grok, what'd you make of the game?
Yeah, I thought we did really, really well in the first probably 45 minutes of game time. That first quarter, our midfield was probably the best it's worked with Taranto, Hopper, Ross, and McIntosh through there. It's probably been the best it's looked since those two have come on board from GWS, just the way that they controlled clearances. We smashed Freo in the first 45 minutes in contested ball and clearances. That we were really on top, and the way we were getting the ball in, it was positive signs for that. But then Freo managed to actually tweak their defensive structure up around the midfield, and then it went the other way. They smashed us through the midfield for the rest of the game, got the ball in pretty quickly. I feel there were probably some changes that Uze probably could have made. I mean, the Miller on Tracy matchup was very similar to Cox on Rance in that final in 2018, where the change should have been made a lot earlier than what it was.
Yeah.
Credit to Miller. Miller actually fought back in the fourth quarter and didn't really allow Tracy to get on the end of any more. But by then the damage had been done. I thought we held Bolton pretty well for the first half as well. But then when Freo, obviously, we know what Bolton's like when the team's up and about, he gets involved. And when Freo got on top, that's when Bolton really came to the fore. But how exciting was that start? Straight out of the contest, straight to Jonty, who, instead of taking possession, just tapped it straight down to MJ. That was pure. That was perfect, like forward craft and small forward ability. Like that's what you want to see. Bring the ball to ground, and we just didn't really do it as often as we should have done in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's a fair call, EJ.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the change down back, but I don't know how much effect it would have had. If the ball's coming in like it's coming in, sometimes there's not much you can do. But I think maybe just from a mentality point of view, it's good to switch up anyway, because you want people fresh of mind as well as fresh of body, and maybe the game works out slightly differently just from a one-on-one win percentage if you've got one person that isn't flat because they've just been belted for a quarter and a half. Mind you, it's just also seen that it's one of those days where when it doesn't go your way, it doesn't go your way. The ball falls to the right side that they're on. Some of it's good positioning, some of it's just luck where it goes. So the fall away was great. There were a couple of things that I think were, for players that didn't have good games, they still had good points. So Seth Campbell had no impact. He didn't kick a goal. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had hardly any possessions, but he was far and away our leading pressure act person with 27. The next best was 16. There was a massive gap. So I'm really pleased from a Seth point of view that didn't drop his bundle when he didn't have the ball, still tried to help the team in other ways. And I think little things like that you sort of pick out of the game are good signs going forward.
Good call on Seth Campbell with the pressure. That is a big drop off though, isn't it? That's a little bit disappointing. Maurice Rioli, I want to highlight. Gronk, I thought he had a really good first half, and look, the second half he obviously faded away, but so did the whole team. So I'm not going to pin that on just him. But like we were saying on the live call, that it was really, really good to see Morris get his hands on the ball early, kicked a couple of goals early. He was up and about, and that kind of pressure that he and Campbell were able to sort of apply to the Freo players was probably a large reason why we were still in the game at half time. So hopefully we can start to see that for longer and longer, but I was really wrapped for him. On the back of not really doing a lot in the VFL, it must be said, if we're being honest, to come out and kick 2 goals and do what he did was a really good sign for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He had an electrifying first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. He was involved in everything, and by quarter time, he was involved in all 4 of our goals. He kicked 2 himself and had a goal assist for 1, and was involved in the actual scoring chain for the 4th. So he had a really good game. Obviously, coming back from limited football, playing in 30-plus degree heat against a side that runs a lot, he was always going to fade out. But it just goes to show that it looks like he's starting to believe that he can run games out now. Like his fitness base is slowly getting to where it needs to be, and he looks so much better going through the midfield with the ball in hand and taking the game on, as opposed to leading up at the ball as a small forward. I feel like sometimes as a small forward, his leading patterns are all wrong. But when he's got the ball in hand, he's really, really good in traffic. He's clean when the ball's on the deck with the pickups, and he's got some pace. I think the angriest I got during that game was that trip that was not paid that immediately went back down.
Yeah, everyone's onto it in the comments as well.
That was ridiculous. But yeah, that's he needs to build on that. Like that opening quarter should be his level, and if he can play to that level for 2.5 quarters out of 4, he'll be a very good player. I don't think he's got the capacity to produce that for all 4 quarters, just the way that he plays, runs and pressures. But if he can do 66% of the game time that he plays doing that, we've got a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, look, obviously, first game in the seniors back, so he was going to run out of puff. RFC stealing my thunder by putting stats up on the screen. I'm not really happy with that, but he was second for pressure acts for the team. Just from an effort point of view, I'd also like to highlight another player, and I thought first game back that Hugo. I don't know what you guys thought the live call. Hugo worked his ass off.
110%. We said exactly that.
Really good.
Yep.
It's funny. I was watching the game. For the first time, all 4 family members sat down together. It was bizarre. My daughter is now watching every week. She loves it.
Yeah, right. Good.
Yeah, I mean, she never really followed footy. She's 15. In the last 12 months, bang. And so I started up a family footy tipping comp, and she goes, "Oh, I can't tip Collingwood this week. There's no De Goey, no Schultz, no."
Oh, really? You've done full research.
How do you know this?
Yeah, I know. But but we all were commenting on the fact that Hugo, first game back, I thought he'd blow up, but he was really good.
Yeah, we were saying the same thing. And a lot of it for me it wasn't necessarily what he did with the ball. It was the amount of unrewarded running that he did that opened up pockets of space behind him to let others get into that we maybe didn't end up using them. But he was, like you said, he worked his ass off. He would have clocked up some serious Ks. He was ultra impressive.
You got my notes. Unrewarded running, word for word, is what I'd written down.
Yeah, it was, because I made a bit of an effort to watch what he was doing because he clocked up some good numbers in the VFL last week. And I was really keen to see his return and how it would go because I thought he would add something to the side with his pace and his run. And I thought he did, and I can't wait to see more of it. I thought it was really good, Grok.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll see just what I thought of Hugo's game when it comes to the votes.
Same, yes. The general, this is a good question. Bauer is sub the right call. I mean, maybe it ultimately ended up being the right call because Lynch went off. In totality, though, I don't think it was the right call. I would have liked to have seen another runner, but I mean, with how it panned out, you'd probably feel justified if you were the coaching staff, I guess.
Yeah, looking at it, with how little ball we got into the forward line and the quality of the delivery when we did get it in, plus the 30-degree heat, I'm not sure the tall was the right call as a sub. You'd want a runner.
Yeah, I think so too. On to some other positives. Luke Traynor, 10 marks. What was it, 18 or something? I have it here.
20.
Luke Traynor, 22 disposals.
412 metres game.
10 marks. Yeah, 22 disposals.
Yep.
He had another really good game. I think there's a couple of kicks that maybe went a bit skew, but God, everyone does one of those, so we're not going to highlight that too much. But he looks so comfortable out there, doesn't he? It's actually a little bit scary how comfortable he looks in his 5th game, just doing what he wants to do at AFL level. It's no wonder that players within his own draft year were touting him as one of the best defenders in the draft, and I think we're starting to see the reasons why.
Yeah, his disposal efficiency was down this week. It was at 55%. But again, as I've highlighted in previous weeks, he made a couple of mistakes and, one sort of, quite bad mistake. But he didn't drop his head. The other players were sort of ruffling him and saying, "You'll be right, you'll be right." He was shrugging them off. He was fine. Fantastic. He is one of the first-year players that, unless he's injured, I don't think they'll rest him. I think he'll play every game.
Yeah. And glad to see Sam actually mentioned McIntosh. His game on Sarong was fantastic.
Oh, geez, Sarong got the sooks up.
He was shitty, wasn't he? I don't know what Camden was saying or doing. He was not happy, complaining about everything. He got a couple of cheapies late, I think. But, yeah, my gosh. That's the tagging we want to see. See, that version of Camden, and I don't think it's Camden's fault, to be honest. He's only playing where he's told to play. But we saw it in round 1. We saw it in round 5, but didn't really see it in between.
Yeah,
so
really good.
Yeah, if he's going to play in the midfield, if he's going to attend centre bounces, that's what he's got to be doing. He shouldn't be attending centre bounces just to be another midfielder for us. He needs to be the tagger if he's going to be in there.
Yeah. He's got to go to Anderson this week.
Sorry, go to Anderson.
Yeah, he has to go to Anderson this week.
What I really liked was, yes, he was accountable, but in that first period where we dominated, when we got the ball, he then went to the back of the stoppage or whatever and created space and pull players out of the way and things like that. So structurally, he understood what to do if the tag wasn't needed at that particular point as well. Yeah, he was really good. There was one other player that I think I've been a little bit waiting for something more consistent to happen, and I thought Tom Brown was that was probably his best game this season. Led us for metres gained, 584, went at 80% with 24 disposals, 8 contested possessions, 8 intercepts, and an interesting stat, 9 handball receives. So also making himself available for teammates, when we're sort of structuring up and trying to get out of the back.
And it's not just that either, but the one goal we kicked in the second half was because he took that dangerous kick into the middle of the ground, the 45 kick straight through to the free player, opened up Campbell. Like that's the type of kick that we want to be seeing a lot more. I don't care if we start turning it over, especially when we're down by 40 points already. I just want to see us at least be brave with the football rather than this long, pathetic, slow, long down the line that's predictable, turn it over, go back over your head for a goal. Just mix it up, try something else. And we did switch. We did try and switch a lot, but again, the switches were way too slow. Stop, take 3 or 4 seconds, and then switch again, which allowed Freo to cover the outlet kicks as well. And it's the biggest thing for me with that and our ball movement was there was no urgency or sense of commitment. It looked like we had 2 or 3 options and didn't know which one to take. And by that point, all the options had been shut down. It's like, at least commit to one option, go quickly.
No, I agree. And that 45-degree kick was very, very good to see, EJ. More of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we said last week or the week before, was you're not going to get criticised for taking the kick and making the mistake. We want to see you take the kick. Yeah. To stand there and give everyone a chance to set up, it just completely stifles movement. It completely stifles movement. We stop, they don't. So, yeah.
A couple of, I don't like talking about negative things, but we have to address a few things, I suppose. One goal in the second half, not great. I mean, firstly, credit to Freo for doing what they did well. They're a good side and they did exactly as they should have done. We faded away badly, but we just didn't look likely to score a goal, did we? I mean, our 450 entries went from being somewhat okay, and we obviously kicked 6 goals in that first half, till we couldn't hit the side of a barn door. We were kicking it over people's heads to the ground, or we were just bombing it in high, almost like we were just reverting back to old habits in a lot of ways. And it was a little bit disappointing to see that we couldn't turn that around. But, yeah, I get a bit frustrated when you see one goal in a second half. And then, yeah, the mark's inside 50. I think we had, 3 or 4, which is well down on where we should be. And, again, EJ, that just comes to the lowering of the eyes. It's just like the skill set fell away. And I know we're going to be inconsistent for games throughout the year, but you would like to be able to kick at least 2 or 3 goals in a half of footy.
Yeah, and I think that's where this week in particular with the hot weather, the fatigue got us and we slowed to a crawl. Therefore, it gets clogged up. Therefore, the entries are rubbish and, it is what it is. It doesn't help when you turn it over too. And there was a few players I thought about maybe commenting a couple of negative things. And I thought, no, I'll give them a pass. It was a hot day. But the senior guys, I was looking at all the numbers and the guy and I know that fantasy points aren't the be-all and end-all, but I'm using it to make a point. The guy that was our highest-rated player on the day was Jaden Short. Now, he had a few metres gained, etc., but he's having no physical impact on the game whatsoever. There's no leadership from him. And was it the third quarter? Was it the third quarter or the fourth quarter where he laid off that cross kick into the middle, which turned over and was run down straight in for a goal? That action at that time was completely inexcusable for a senior player. I know I don't want to be sitting here and bashing people all night, but in my eyes, of the senior guys, so far this season, I think Short is the one that really, on a consistent basis, has failed to step up for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw there was a comment from Hunt, JE, and it's something that I mentioned to Michaels during the live call. At the point where we're bombing it long and high, why don't we just, if we need to panic and dump kick it, why not kick it to ground? Rather than allowing them to take intercept after intercept, all it takes is for them to take one little fumble of the ball and then we'll be all over them pressure-wise, as opposed to them taking an uncontested mark. Just kick it along the ground if you need to dump kick it, rather than those hack bombs that really do nothing and get turned over and free our out the other way.
That's a good point.
I would have
just scrubber it.
And
yeah.
The other thing that concerned me was, again, with the ball movement inside 50, is just how much we miss Sam Lawler already. Just the way that he lowers his eyes and delivers. It's scary to think how much different our transition into the forward line looks without Lawler.
The other player I want to speak about quickly before we move on, Tom Lynch. And I don't know, this isn't really a criticism, I don't think, at this stage. This is more of a question. Where is he? I just felt like he didn't have a lot of impact, and maybe he was being scragged, or not maybe, he was being scragged and held. I still think we're very reliant on him to make those contests. There's a few times he just got caught too far behind and wasn't able to get body on body and spoil the ball. And I just think it's leaving too much up to the younger forwards to step up and do that on a full-time basis when they're still learning the ropes themselves. We're out with Lynch. I know he hasn't played a lot of football and he's probably going to ease into it. And I don't know whether he'll play this week or not because he got subbed off. But from a week-to-week basis, what kind of things do we want to be seeing from him on a consistent level?
When we've got the young forwards coming through, Fawcett, Armstrong, who's now out for a while, Fall, Sims to come through. I don't want Lynch to be sitting there parking himself in the goal square and wanting the ball on his head. He needs to be opening up space for these younger forwards. Because obviously he's played 9 games, 10 games now in 2.5 years, and wrong side of 30. Like he'll be lucky if he gets to the point where he's kicking 2 goals a game. I sincerely doubt that he gets to that point again. So right now he's the one that needs to be being that decoy for the others to really fast track their development, sort of like what Richo was doing with Jack, pushing up the ground and allowing the others. Lynch parking himself in the goal square is not going to do anything for us. And based on what I've seen so far, I think we'd be best moving him on at the end of the year.
Yeah. I think he's physically, look, and maybe after a block of 3 or 4 weeks, we do see an improvement because he gets a bit of miles under the belt, etc., etc. Hasn't played for 2 years. But I think it might be passing him by a little bit from a physical perspective, and therefore his opponent is able to contain him better. And I think that his mind is being preoccupied with his opponent and what his opponent's doing. When Lynch was at his best, his opponent had to worry about what Lynch was doing. So part of parking himself there is it's in his head. If he was free and hit up and stuff like that, as you say, the whole forward structure changes. So I'd be happy enough sticking with him for another 3 or 4 weeks yet. I think we have to persist because it's only he had an interrupted start to the season with the suspension, etc., etc. He needs a block, but I definitely can see why we're discussing maybe it gets to a point where it's not the answer.
Yeah. And for a player who was never exactly quick to begin with, he's slowed down a lot already. You can tell it. He's not even making the contests that he used to. His direct opponent is now, getting 3 or 4 meters in front of him based on a standing start and taking intercepts, which is, again, if that needs to happen, Lynch needs to start taking body or something with him. Otherwise, he's essentially been, I hate to say it, but a witch's hat up forward. He hasn't really offered all that much.
I did see one contest there where he tried to jump up the back of Pearce
Yeah, and got pinned for it, which was ridiculous because it was a genuine attempt to mark.
But also he's like literally he's not getting there's no hops anymore either.
Yeah, jam tin couldn't jump over the jam tin.
Oh, I'm hoping to see him just work his way into it. We just need him. I don't care if he doesn't mark it. Just make sure his opponent doesn't mark it. That's all we kind of want from any of our forwards at this stage, essentially. But that's the review of the Freo game. We're moving this segment up the order a little bit to break things up. So it's now time for. Oh, I don't like that it cuts off the first part of that when I first click on it. Come on, man. I'm actually putting in a what we call an honourable mention. An honourable mention I want to give this week for Come On Man to just every AFL journalist out there who made no note on their socials. So I looked at John Ralph's page, Tom Morris, Footy on 9, David Zeta and Jay Clark. I looked at all of their social pages. Not one comment was made about Pat Voss's hit on Nick Vlosten. Not a single comment until after the suspension was handed down. Then they posted it and spoke about it. Nothing in the lead up. And I'm thinking, can you imagine how much media hype there would have been if that was Tom Lynch that had to hit an opposition player like that? Just think about the amount of coverage that would have got in the 24-hour window that we had. And they gave zero consideration, zero thought to this because it was Voss and he's not a Tom Lynch who doesn't wear yellow and black. It just blew my mind that no one in mainstream media covered it. The only people I saw posting footage of it saying he should get weeks were supporters of other clubs or Richmond. It was just quite remarkable.
Come on, man.
Indeed.
Absolutely. My turn. Actually, I was thinking about it, and I'm actually going to change my tune. I was originally going to have a Come On Man about the AFL media with the whole one finger salutes from Harley Reid, the difference between Harley Reid, the narrative around that, and the narrative around Bailey Smith. But instead, I'm going to Come On Man Jacinta Allen over her comments about Noah Bolter. It literally just popped into my head. Her comments around Noah Bolter and what sort of message does it send? He shouldn't be playing. Well, it's a bit rich from Jacinta Allen coming from her government and her bail laws. I mean, surely someone who's had so many issues with youth crime, aggravated, serious violent crimes, repeat offenders out on bail, getting slaps on the wrist. Surely she should know when to pipe down. It was extremely uncalled for, her views, and she should take a look in her own backyard.
Come on, man.
Oh, and just on that, with Jacinta and with these other people, they're all saying, he shouldn't be playing, he shouldn't be playing. My question to you is, okay, wise ones, if he shouldn't be playing, when is it okay for him to play? Does he get suspended for life? Is it 6 weeks? Is it 8 weeks? Come to us with a number and then we can discuss. Until then, come on, man.
Yeah.
There's another honourable mention this week, and you wouldn't believe it. It's AFL boss Andrew Dillon.
Hey,
again.
There he is.
He's
Come
back.
on, man.
In November, when talking about the Hawthorn Port Adelaide shitstorm, he came out with the following comment. I don't think you'll see the AFL leading with the Hinkley and Univan narrative. I think you will see others leading with that. The AFL's official Instagram page had the picture of Kenny doing the plane and saying, "Get the popcorn ready, here it comes."
Come on, man.
Give yourselves a spell. But boy, oh boy, I tell you, this week's Come On Man goes to you, Sam McClure.
Come on, man.
Unfortunately, he says, whether people like it or not, the media pays for the game. Like, Sam, get stuffed. You are so full of your own self-importance and self-aggrandizement, and you're absolutely delusional. The media pays for the game because the fans watch the game. not because the media exists. Right? The media in the last 5 years, as we know, and we've pointed out in other parts of tonight, they've made the story about themselves for the last 5 years, and 90% of the time they're bloody wrong anyway. Fair income, you, of all people, are lucky you have a job. That was one of the most insane, delusional, clueless, and just flat-out unbelievable statements that I'd ever heard. Put yourself in the bin.
Come on, man.
And if we want to double down, we can double down on his comment a little bit prior to that, saying that Bolter 100% is being picked in the AFL this week. The guy's got no idea. It is beyond belief he's got a job in mainstream media. And I'm actually surprised he hasn't featured here more often. We could even name it after him, potentially. But
you know what? We probably could. West Coast won't pick Harley Reid. They won't. I'm telling you.
An ode to Sam.
Dusty will be at the Gold Coast.
Dusty's at the Gold Coast. Sign it up.
But, media pays for the game, but the fans pay for the media. We buy the newspapers. You know, we access those streaming services. We're the ones that put the money into the AFL.
If we didn't pay for the media, Sam, we pay your wage, Sam McClure.
Exactly.
Which irks me a little bit. But anyway, that's Cmon Man. I like it. I'm glad that people like it as well. There's some calls for Kelly Underwood commentary. I truthfully haven't heard it. I've read commentary on it, but I haven't heard it, so I can't really throw it under the bus if I didn't hear it. But from what I read, if it panned out like that, it didn't sound great.
Look, Kelly Underwood commentating and doing... Sorry, go ahead.
I've read a few comments when Jonty took the mark and was lining up for the shot that he missed in the fourth quarter. She called him 2 or 3 different names before she got to fall.
Yeah, and she pronounced it foul at the start of the game. But as someone who was sitting at home,
Jonty foul.
Yes. As someone at home, we had Kelly on commentary and Derm on special comments. It was a special type of punish. It was a hard listen.
Oh, very
Speaking
good.
of Jonty, did anyone manage to watch Nui's speech for the jumper presentation? If you haven't, I strongly suggest you go and watch it. It's one of the better ones you will see.
Agree.
Am I the only one that thinks that Jonty Fall has a little bit of Pat Cummins about him?
No, that was a good call. That's a good comparison with that still shot. That was a really good call. Yeah.
It's just might just be me, but Jordan Clark from Freo looks very similar to Tim Taranto as well. Just the facial feature wise, they look very similar as well.
Yeah, I sort of get that. Yep.
All right. Now we have a time for a special announcement interrupting the broadcast. We're going to add this bad boy up here. It's happening, which we haven't used at all this year. And we'll just play some music over the background.
So Jones Racing, the doozy. This is the doozy I mentioned. The doozy is here.
The doozy is here. The stubby holders have arrived, folks. They are in our hot little hands. The gents have got their coolers. Grok rocking the doozy. What did you have in yours there, EJ?
An alcohol-free beer. I'm off it this week.
Oh, very nice. And I am canless. Actually, I've got a premiership can there in the background. So the stubby coolers have arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Well, one box of them anyway. The other box ended up in Sydney at the Long Flat Pub in Port Macquarie, I think it was. And we ended up with their ones. They look pretty good. They actually said the guy said I could have kept one. I didn't. I left them all in the box. So we're waiting for the second box to arrive. But yeah, they are here, officially here. So those who have pre-ordered, we will start getting them sent out ASAP. And for anyone wanting to order, feel free to send us a message and we can get that organized as well. So very, very exciting, and a massive thanks to everybody who has placed orders. It means the world to us all with all the love and support. But they're here. It's finally happened. And the footies aren't far behind, I believe. They should be here any week now. So yes, we can finally reveal that the stubby holders are here. So you can now drink with a Richmond Big Footy Tigercast stubby holder. Very, very good.
Damien Crombie's made a point, and I actually thought this a little bit myself on the weekend. He said, looks like Pat Cummins speaks like Dusty. He does have a bit of a Dusty in his voice, the way that he's the what do you call it? The inflections and things like that. There's a bit of Dusty there. Listen for it.
Same as Sammy Waller. Like if you close your eyes and listen to Waller talk, he sounds like a spitting, like sounds exactly like Dusty.
Yep.
He's a very cool cat, Jonty Fall. The videos of like telling his family and stuff are very, very, very funny. I love that. I love those videos.
His nickname,
but time the Jont.
The Jont.
How good's that? Self-anointed the Jont. But no, it is time to talk about our big game next week again, or this week, should I say, up against the Gold Coast Suns, who are they second or third? I think they're second on the ladder. They are absolutely flying at the moment. Dimmer's got them humming, which is a little bit frustrating because they're winning on the road, off the road. They're doing it all, and they are looking very, very nice. They knocked off the Kangas by 52 points, which helped us immensely from a draft pick perspective. John Noble and Dan Rioli obviously doing some nice things on the half-back line for him. Tuke Miller, 27 disposals. Noah Anderson, who always manages – I mean, he always plays good games, but he always plays really good games against us. And I think he sunk us a couple of times with some late goals. They've got a lot of good players all over the park. But let's talk about the potential changes first before we get stuck into how we are going to try and knock off the Suns. What do we think is going to happen here? Tom Lynch, Uze said that it was just a cork and he believes he'll be fine. So I gather we take his word for that. Noah Bolter's just played his first game of VFL. Do you put Noah Bolter in? And if so, who would it be for?
I reckon Bolter comes in only for the simple fact I'm concerned about how Miller's going to go on King. We saw what Tracy does. We saw what Tracy did to Miller. I'm concerned about what King's going to do just with the agility and just the athleticism that he has. I think Bolter's a much better matchup. It's interesting. Like Trezise could be one. He didn't really have a great game. Could also just be straight Bauer out for Bolter.
Bauer for Bolter is how I see it. Just on Trezise, I agree he didn't have a great game. So this little quirk did make me smirk. He had 17 disposals at 100% disposal efficiency, just for the lols there.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you go full Dr. Seuss there as well with that little.
Sorry?
Did you mean to go full Dr. Seuss with that little quirk made me smirk?
No, I did not.
No, okay.
No, I did not. But that was pretty hot. How many metres gained? Good question. 158. 158.
So less than 10 metres per disposal.
Yeah. Oh, well, Nank only had 21 metres gained, so let's not start me on metres gained this week because I had a bit of a wince at it. Yeah, Lawler's got to be a chance to come back in, doesn't he?
At whose expense? We've got Bolter in for, let's say, Bauer. I think Bauer either has to play the full game in the AFL or has to play the full game in the VFL. He can't be a sub. So let's say that. Lawler in for Sonzi.
Yeah. Sadly, at the moment, he's just not taking his chances.
Smiley Hawks. We reckon that Smiley's being saved for the Anzac Eve game. He's only played 2 games, but a half in each game. So I reckon this week will be 3 quarters in the VFL and then leading into a full game. They might surprise us, though, but I would be shocked if he was picked, to be honest.
Yeah, because you also got to look, it's like a 5 or 6 day break between games. Because we've got Gold Coast and then we've got the
Anzac Eve
on the Thursday night.
Yeah.
Bolter for Blight. I don't know whether we'll do that because we're going to use him as the backup ruck. But what will be interesting, and it's something to talk about quickly, if Bolter's coming back in, we're assuming for Bauer, how does the trio of Miller, Blight, and Bolter work? Does Blight stay forward and Bolter and Miller patrol the back line like they had done previously? Or does Bolter and Blight patrol the back line and Miller moves out and does some around the ground rucking, which he has done before?
Blight stays forward. For me. I mean,
with
Lynch is undercooked. Let's be real. Like just in terms of form and getting games in, that makes Blight the most senior body we have up forward. You don't want to take him away from that.
Is McAuliffe available? Technically speaking, I believe he was going to be available. I reckon that they're going to want to get more runs in, like more kilometres in the legs before we see him in the AFL. And this is where the VFL buy hurts a little bit because players like Sims and Alga obviously miss a week of football. So they'll have to sort of start back again. But it's probably good they've got a rest as well. I would be shocked if McAuliffe came straight back in. I would love to see him in. I'd be shocked if he came straight back in, though, your man, EJ.
He's not coming straight back in.
I think we need to see him at some point, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But
Is Mansell this week or next week?
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah. I mean, McAuliffe couldn't get a gig when he was fully fit, let alone coming off an injury. So, like, again, probably won't see him for 3 or 4 weeks if he does get a game.
Gray's close as well. It's a fair call, Nick. He's put in a good body of work too.
And he's the one, if Lynch is out, another body like Gray is probably the one that comes in. So you've got the two big bodies in Blight and Gray, and then you've got the younger one in Jonty Fall or Fawcett or whoever is going to be that third tall. I think we're going to stick with the 3 talls.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so they're the changes. So we think Lawler back in, and we think Bolter in, and there might be some speculation on Lynch. Who would you go as sub then? If we're assuming that Bauer's out of the mix and Sonzi's out for Lawler, who would you go as sub? Like the 2 names probably popped to mind straight away, but I don't think they'll do it, was Dow and Ross.
Yeah, probably Ross. Probably Ross.
Because I wouldn't do Hugo. I think Hugo's too important to be on the ground for a prolonged period of time with what he offers. So I feel like it could potentially fall to Ross if the changes go that way.
Or do they go someone with pace like a Steely Green?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's a doozy. But the other interesting part about even the names I mentioned with Ross and Dow is they form part of the 4 or 5 only players we ever use in the middle. So on that basis, I don't think we do it either, but it seems to make sense. But yeah, who knows what we'll do in that space.
I think Dow's output has been better than Ross's over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I would find it hard to see Dow being the sub.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. If you're sort of comparing current performances, that Dow's probably got him covered in that sense. Where's the game won and lost? Like, I know we probably all are assuming that we are going to struggle to win this just on exposed form. How do we fix the second half fade? I don't care if we fade fully, like eventually. How do we keep ourselves in the game for longer? What do we need to do to prolong our ability to stay within reaching distance of these sides? And I think it's going to be a natural progression and natural experiencing that will unlock that. But are there certain things in our game we can change? One thing that I still want to see, guys, when the game's done, potentially, if it's at 30, 40 points, whatever, I'd still love to see a change of midfield personnel because, again, last week the game was cooked and we still saw the same names rolling through there with nothing much happening. I want to see it mixed up to see if we can find a bit of spark, a bit of energy to try and revive the team within the game to get a couple of goals ourselves.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised once the games are cooked that we're not rotating. It is frustrating. I'm sure there's a very good reason. And again, they don't owe us the reasons if they don't want to give them. That's fine. But I would love to see Seth in there, MRJ in there, Sonzi in there. A couple of positive comments for Sonzi. There were times when he was in the contest, like on the half forward line or whatever, on his knees, dirty, down, contested ball, getting it out. And if in VFL he's dominating inside, and I understand why when the game is cooked, do they not? What if they're not going to? There is no point in him being in the senior side.
Yeah, I agree.
Which goes to your point, with that rotation and new names in there. He's available. Miller. Oh.
What about some man-on-man, Grog? Do you want to see some man-on-man instead of the zone stuff if it starts breaking down? Give some accountability to all the players?
100%. When the zone's not working against a side like Gold Coast who move the ball relatively quickly, our zone they're going to rip us apart. I'd much rather us go one-on-one and make them accountable and not let them have that easy transition up the field like we did against like most teams have had against us. Because if we really have young players and we want them to learn, what better way for them to learn by sticking with a man, making and being accountable as opposed to guarding a patch of grass? I think it's going to go a long way for them.
Yeah, my counterpoint to that is the only way to learn the zone is to play the zone. So we have to play the team defense to drill everyone in. And yes, we're going to get ripped apart, and we're seeing it like the St Kilda, the middle of St Kilda. Gee, that was really hard to watch. But if we are going to go down the road of looking 2 years in advance, the more we stick to it and the more we learn it, the faster it will imprint itself on all the young players. That's why I would prefer to see the zone being stuck to. And that's up to senior players to rip into others, not falling into the right positions and not pulling themselves across.
I definitely think that the man-on-man should be plan B. Obviously, I think in that second half against Freo, at three-quarter time, I wish Uze would have just said, all right, we're going to do something different this quarter. We're going man-on-man. Obviously, the zone hasn't worked. Let's just try something else. So that way, when if the time comes that Uze can say, okay, plan B, this isn't working. We know exactly what we need to do. Drill that in. Because I don't want it to be like last year where it was just stick to the one game plan for the whole year and nothing changed. There were no real growth areas and everything like that. The two things for me that the three areas that we really need to be better at this week is we need to shut down, you mentioned them, Rioli and Noble. Their movement off the halfback is the reason why they are getting so much. They are so much better this year. They're a lot cleaner out of the halfback. There's a lot of drive from halfback with those two, and I'm really looking forward to Morris versus Daniel. Just let them two go at it one-on-one. See, I think they'd enjoy that. I think Morris would really relish that chance, and I think he could have a pretty solid game. And then someone like Steely Green or Seth Campbell on Noble for the other ones. Shut those down, go man-on-man with them, make sure they don't get that easy overlap ball. Secondly, we really need to stop committing so many to the contest in the midfield. With the outside runners, Ainsworth, Anderson, Miller, those guys are lethal when they get the outside run and the handball over the top out of the contest from Rao. We need to stick with those. Don't get sucked into the contest trying to win the ball or tackle. Stick relatively close to your man. So they can't get that outlet handball. And the final one is put the ball to ground, dirty ball in. If we don't want to be putting it up for Collins and all of their intercept defenders, Mac Andrew. If we do what we did against Freo with our entries, they'll just gobble it up and go right back out the other way. Just dirty ball in, put it to ground, make them actually get down and defend.
Yeah, on your point with too many committing to the contest, that's really evident. And then you've got that secondary possession just outside the contest. That's where we're getting burnt. Now, the thing is the temptation is going to be to overcommit to the contest because Gold Coast is so strong in that area. Rao is in absolute beast mode at the moment. Like, he's phenomenal. Yep. It's almost where you've got to try and contain as much as you can at the contest, but actually be setting up for secondary possession because they are just so good inside at the moment. And that for me is the real concern of the weekend is I can just see them getting control out of the middle on a regular basis, which means that our defenders, I think, are in for a long afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all very good points. Can't argue with any of that. Not a hell of a lot to add other than who would you sit Camden McIntosh on? Is it a Matt Rowell? Is it a Noah Anderson? Is it Touk Miller? They've got quite a few options to have a look at. Who would your first preference be for him to try and shut down?
I mentioned it earlier. For me, it's got to be Anderson. Rowell, I don't think the difference between Anderson and Rowell is Anderson while he can win his own ball, often is the outside receiving runner, whereas Rowell is the one that is the ball that is in and under and wins the actual football. And Chris Judd and Luke Hodge have both said it. It's harder to tag a player who can win their own ball consistently at the bottom of packs than it is to shut down an outside runner. Rowell is going to rack up the clearances and the balls. Like he's going to do it, but when he's in and under, his disposal may not be great. Whereas if he manages to get the ball on the outside to Anderson in space, that's where the damage is.
Hopper just has to go head to head with Rowell and hang on for dear life.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Hopper's probably been one of our best performing mids for the year. So yeah, let's back him in to go head to head, and we'll see what happens there.
The one thing with Hopper, give the first option. So many times he sees the first option, stops, pauses, turns around and runs himself into trouble. Just get rid of it, son.
I'll tell you what, he'd be good in city traffic because he's perfected the U-turn.
All right, well, with that said, let's get a tip, including margin for this one, gents, and put your comments in chat as well. We'll pop it up. What do you think the margin will be? Grok, what are you thinking?
Don't shoot me. Gold Coast by 65. I reckon this is probably going to be ugly, especially at Etihad. Yeah.
I think Grok is a smart man. I actually had Gold Coast by 70.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's a big.
I think Gold Coast are a legitimately good side this year.
They are. I mean, the only thing that we don't know yet, and we're not going to learn anything different this week, is their draw's been very soft so far. So it's like how, but they're building confidence is the thing. So maybe it wouldn't matter who they had in front of them. I think the Suns will get a hold of us at some point. Again, for me, it's about prolonging the pain. If we can have a good first half and start of the third quarter, that can be maybe as good as we can kind of hope for. But yeah, I reckon it could be a 50-pointer plus potentially. I think everyone's getting the vibe that it could be a little bit ugly. Well, yeah, Lettuce has gone Tigers by 20. Cam's gone Tigs by 11.
This is the type of game where you sit there and you chuck a sneaky 10 on Richmond just in case, because the odds are going to be
just to hedge your bets a bit. But we'll see how we go. We just want more effort, more green shoots. We know we're going to be inconsistent and all that kind of stuff. Just give us the small signs, and we'll just keep watching these young cubs develop and grow. Hopefully, we see a Sammy Lawler back and let him do his thing. We want Trainer and Jonty Fall to keep thriving, and that's what it's all about at the moment for the Tigers. So that's it for the weekly show. We are about to do another video to record our Play of the Year votes. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. There's a video dropping on Wednesday, I think, in regards to Josh Smiley. We've got we'll be live on Thursday night with a Gold Coast supporter, might be two of them potentially, for the behind front of me lines to see their thoughts on the game as well. So
I like how you went. Got a Gold Coast supporter.
Well, I remember because there's actually two of them that do it, so I can't remember if one or both is coming on. So
do they have
see how it goes there. But they do. Oh, can we have two?
No, they have two support?
They do. Yeah, they do. They're doing some good things. But anyway, that is a wrap for tonight. Like we said, stubby holders are here, so if you want one, let us know, and we can get that organised. Otherwise, I'll see you lovely gentlemen next week, no doubt. We might look to do another live call potentially because it's at Marvel. I'm not sure how many people will be going. I'll have to check my schedule as well. But yeah, until next time, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.